Hey everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. I'm glad you're here. I came across a website that talked about a pamphlet that was actually mailed to every single person who lived in Sweden. And it was all about prepping, about being prepared. I want to go through this pamphlet because obviously for us as preppers, we want to be able to survive anything coming. And Sweden, 20% of their population are preppers. And so going through this whole video, all the different things they recommend, I think would be advantageous for us, especially for the fact that they live so far up north and it's so cold. And of course, nestled right between Norway and Finland. And of course, Russia being here, pushing along the boundaries. And Sweden talks about all the time how even down here, Russian bombers and jets are always going over their territory. And with this, they want to be prepared for war. So here's the pamphlet. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this and discredit that amazing country. But we can look at it in English because they sent out in English as well. If crisis or war comes, and this is not the only time they've put out a pamphlet like this. They've done it a few times, including in World War II, to prepare their citizens for possible Nazi invasion. So we'll zoom in. If crisis or war comes, this is very interesting. And of course, we have a table of contents. Let's skip past this. I'll put a link for this below, by the way, in case you want to do this yourself. What would you do if your everyday life was turned upside down? Wow, if we could put this across to everybody in America, we'd be all set. And truth be told, I have not read through this myself. So a lot of this is going to be new to me as well as you at the same time. Very neat. What happens if your heating stops or becomes too difficult to prepare or store food? What happens if your shop or store has run out of food or other goods? What are you going to do? What if you no longer have water coming in from the taps or the toilet? What if it's not possible to fill up your car? Your credit cards, payment cards, cash machines don't work, nor does your phone networks or internet goes down. If public transportation goes to a standstill, or even more, what happens if you can't obtain your medicines or medical equipment? Now, right off the bat, I like this because it's starting to put some thought-provoking questions in there. Are you prepared for all these contingencies, all these problems that could possibly hit? And here we go. Be on the lookout for false information. We see this stuff all the time happening in the United States or wherever you're at too. It's everywhere. Is it factual or just someone's opinion? What's the aim of this information? Who put it out? Is the source trustworthy? I talk about this all the time on the channel because I get comments from people from the most outlandish statements, and I love putting logic into it. Obviously, this is not true or false information, but we all need to be a judge of this and to look at it with discernment to be able to understand if it's true or not, because there's a lot of garbage information out there. And they talk about what happens if there is a terror attack. Move to a safe place. Avoid large groups. Yep. Call the police. Well, here they have 112. We call 911, obviously. Warn those who are in danger, help those in need of assistance. Excellent. Put your mobile on silent, don't call anyone. The sound of the phone ringing may reveal the location of someone who's in hiding. If the network is overloaded, which it probably will be, you may not be able to get vital information out. Make sure you comply with the request from police, fire, rescue services, and don't share unconfirmed information online or any other way. This is a great pamphlet. Let's continue. Now, it talks about defenses of Sweden, total defense, military defense, civil defense. I don't think it's really going to be anything that's applicable to us. Let's keep going. And it does talk about home preparedness tips. This is great. All right, this is stuff I really want to go through. Make sure you have extra food at home, non-perishable, just in case you need extra food in case emergencies happen. Potatoes, cabbage, carrots, eggs, bread with a long shelf life, like for example, tortillas, cheese spread, soft whey cheese, oat milk, soy milk, milk powder, cooking oil, hard cheese, quick cook pasta, rice, grains, instant mashed potatoes, pre-cooked lentils, beans, veggies, hummus in tins. And when I say pre-cooked, I think of canned food. Of course, I always recommend getting lots of canned food. Chopped tomatoes, for example, to cook pasta. Tins of bolognese sauce. I don't know what that is, honestly. Mackerel, sardines, ravioli, salmon balls, boiled meat, soup, fruit puree, jam, marmalade, prepared blueberries, rosehip soup. Then, of course, good stuff like coffee, tea, chocolate, energy bars, honey, almonds, nuts, nut butter, seeds, etc. So pretty good. Interesting how they view it. Of course, it goes along with their diet. Of course, I recommend lots of canned food, lots of meats, etc., to have stockpiled. Anything you can, obviously even beans too, to make it so it's non-perishable and will be able to get you through a pinch in case something happens. They talk about water, allowing for at least 3 liters per adult per day. That's almost a gallon, by the way. And if need be, boil some water. If the toilet's not working, you can take strong plastic bags and place them in the toilet bowl. But obviously have bottles of water, buckets with lids, plastic bottles to freeze water in, mineral water, and jerry cans. I always talk about having like a giant blue 55-gallon drum. I guess it's more like this size. And of course, jugs of water. The milk carton jugs that you can get like at Walmart and stuff are not what you want because they break easy. But you can get all kinds of different types of canisters for water that are actually a lot stronger and will be able to hold out for you. And of course, being in Sweden and here in Michigan too, warmth is a huge thing. If electricity goes off at the cold time of the year, your home will get cold very quickly. Oh yeah. In our home, we only have heat with our wood stove, and unless we keep that thing fed, it gets cold in here very quickly. To gather together in one room, hang blankets over windows, cover the floor with rugs, build a den under a table to keep warm. Do think about a risk of fire, extinguish all candles and alternative heating sources before you go to sleep, and air the room regularly to let oxygen in. Use lots of wool clothes. Excellent. I talk about this all the time, that people love to wear cotton. It's comfy, but wool will keep you warm. Cotton will kill. Outdoor weather clothing, hats, gloves, scarves, blankets, sleeping mats, sleeping bags, candles, tea lights, matches, firelighter, and other things for heat sources. They talk about, for example, propane heaters, paraffin heaters, etc. Yep. I talk about using a buddy heater with propane or a kerosene heater with kerosene to keep it warm. Having a carbon monoxide detector, battery powered, is good, and as well as a fire extinguisher too. And instead of using a table, I always talk about having an extra tent in your living room, which can actually help keep, it's already something you can set up very quickly to help retain your heat. They say use a spirit stove and fuel. That's kind of like a little sterno thing. Torch, head torch, batteries. Communications, have a radio that's powered by batteries, solar cells, or winding. And this is the guy I use all the time. It is chargeable by solar, by crank. You can actually charge it up if you happen to have like a solar generator, but it has radio, it has weather radio, it has flashlights on it, all kinds of good stuff. I'll put a link below for this, as well as other stuff too to help you out. But I love this little radio. As long as you have something that's crank that you can actually listen to, not even just for weather reports and news, but just music too, to be able to pass the time. Car radio, obviously in your car. List of important telephone numbers on paper. Extra batteries, power banks for your mobile phones, and a mobile phone charger that does work in your car. And some other things to look at too to make sure you have on stock: cash in small denominations. I always say maybe a couple $100 in 10s and 20s. Your medicine cabinet with extra medications just in case. Wet wipes, hand sanitizer. I'm not big on hand sanitizers, by the way. Just the chemicals and everything in them, they give you actually a false sense of security in a lot of ways. I'm not saying it will kill off some bacteria, but your immune system does pretty well with that too. I would actually rather just have some soap and water in a little tub to wash my hands instead of using hand sanitizer. But you know what? That's me. But I do like wet wipes though. Nappies and menstrual products. That's nappies. I don't even know what that is. It's pretty funny though. Paper printouts of all your documentation, insurance policies, etc. Yes, definitely. And fuel in your tank, for sure. I don't know what tank they're talking about. Possibly have a propane tank. Always keep it, more than half. But same thing with your car too. Keep your gas tank at more than half all the time, or even 3/4 if possible, for these kind of emergencies. But this is really interesting stuff. Look at this. If Sweden is attacked, resistance is required. Resistance. Cyber attacks that knock out important IT systems, sabotage of infrastructure such as roads, bridges, airports, etc., terror attacks that affect a large number of people, attempts to influence Sweden's decision-making, sever transport links that result in a shortage of food and such, military attacks, for example, airstrikes, rocket attacks, or other acts of war. If Sweden is attacked by another country, we will never give up. All information to the effect that resistance is to cease is false. You go, Sweden. Yes, if we could get this across the United States, that if we are attacked, especially as preppers, I feel like this is our job. Don't ever give up. Be the resistance and fight off whatever attack is coming. I love this. It also talks about a heightened state of alert. The government will put out information on that. Same thing here in the United States. Then it goes through talking about warning systems, which is good, obviously. But in the United States, we have different warning systems we've talked about too, and we'll continue to talk about on the channel. Then lastly, educate yourself and get involved. And this is something in Sweden they take very seriously. Again, 20% of the population are preppers. They're trying to get more people to realize and wake up too, just like we're trying to do here in the United States too. We're trying to get family and friends to wake up to see to this. I would say far less than 20% in the United States are preppers. I would say less than 10%. And not only that, but a lot of preppers, because of stupid TV shows, we have bad names. They think we're some kind of crazy crackpots, as our government, through FEMA and such, tells us to be preppers. There you go figure. So anyway, I want your comments on this. I really like this. Again, there's a link below for this, as some of those items too that you might want to pick up, because obviously our job as preppers, not only to stockpile food and water, to be ready, be the resistance. I love this. I really wish our government and our country was more involved in putting out pamphlets in every mailbox of people in America. I think we would be much better off. Thanks for watching.